I want to return now to the SAA story. The airline plans to restructure, and it is posing a threat to an estimated 900 odd jobs. The national carrier has incurred over 28 billion rand in losses over the past 13 years. So what of the implication as far as retrenchment is concerned? Joining us here, Morne Milan from the Solidarity Research Institute. Mr. Milan, good afternoon to you. Just before we get to some of the important issues here, Solidarity would be representing, I understand, a chunk of workers that could potentially be affected.
Yes, indeed, we would be.
Have you received the notion or the notice to consult?
We have received a Section 189 notice. We are aware of the fact that the procedure does presently affect roughly 944 employees who are unfortunately tasked with carrying the burden that years and years of mismanagement have brought.
So what is your strategy going forward?
At the moment, our strategy is, look, to a large extent the retrenchments were inevitable, they were unavoidable. Given the degree of mismanagement and the degree of corruption, we weren't surprised to notice or to find out that there were going to be retrenchments at SAA. It's unfortunate. Taxpayers have been made to carry the burden of these poor decisions. Now employees are being made to carry the burden. At the moment, we are making use of all the consultation process, and of course, we do still reserve the right with regard to our business rescue application to lodge the application.
So let me just get this clear in my head. You accept the need to restructure the airline, given the position that it finds itself in at the moment. Would you also accept the need that people need to lose their jobs as part of this broader restructuring process?
Look, it all depends on the actual plan, the actual direction in which SAA is heading. So retrenchments, they're a short-term solution. Retrenchments, they actually speak to the symptom rather than addressing the structural issues which exist.
But the conventional wisdom, Mr. Milan, is that the airline in terms of staff is simply bloated. There are too many people working there, and they've got to take their axe to it.
Well, they're bloated in terms of a specific structure. So it would all depend on the reallocation of resources based on the new structure. And even addressing a alleged or supposed bloated structure with regard to employees, that doesn't solve the structural issues with regard to the possible mismatch of skills or the possible issues with regard to procurement contracts.
But that will come out in the process. I mean, surely in order to restructure optimally, you do need to lose people.
Well, it's one of the factors.
What are the other factors?
Well, like I said, it would be something like looking at procurement contracts, looking at, are we obtaining optimal value for the investment that we.
And the airline will argue, and I've just spoken to the chief financial officer, that is just one of the pillars, that they would be looking at things like procurement as well as a staff restructure.
Yes, but what we see is that often the first lever to be pulled is to retrench workers, and then subsequently nothing happens. What we're saying is that we realize that SAA is in dire financial difficulties. They are in distress financially, but that this cannot be the only step, and this won't address the issues with regard to SAA. SAA won't be profitable simply because they've retrenched. So
are your members talking about a strike?
Not currently, no.
But it's something that the airline is concerned about. Is that an issue that you would engage with? Is this, one hopes, is an issue of last resort?
Exactly. It
would cost the airline 57 million rand a day should there be a big strike.
That's why we always treat, like you said, strike as a absolute last port of last resort. We don't like to strike. We know that it has a negative impact, both with regard to the employees as well as the sustainability of the company. So we aren't looking at a strike at the moment.
Thank you very much for joining us. That is Morne Milan from the Solidarity Research Institute. You're live at lunchtime, and we update the headlines every 20 minutes. Here they are.